China is competing aggressively to dominate trade in emerging technologies, including artificial intelligence. With international security and global supply chains at risk, the United States and European allies can't afford to fall behind. Today, we are joined by former U.S. Secretary of Commerce Gina Raimondo. Under the Biden administration, she led efforts to strengthen America's competitiveness through job creation, innovation, manufacturing, and national security. She was also the former governor of Rhode Island. Secretary Raimondo joins us to explain where America places in the race for the economy of the future and how the West can edge ahead. Well, Secretary Raimondo, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining us today.
It's wonderful to be here, and thank you for the opportunity.
We will just get started and jump right in. So just cutting to the chase, you recently said that the strength of a nation is no longer judged solely by its military, but by the strength of its economy. And a task force that you chair found that the Chinese government is spending heavily on AI, quantum, biotech. I think it's $900 billion over the past decade. China's making rapid advances. And so today, in your opinion, who's ahead when it comes to AI, biotech, quantum sectors? Is it the US or is it China?
Wow. So we're not messing around. We're going right for the key question off the bat. It's a complicated question. Okay. I'll give you my view. On the one hand, the easy answer is the US because we design and make better semiconductors, more sophisticated compute. Our models are, in fact, ahead of Chinese models in terms of capability and power. So, on the one hand, an easy answer would be the US. However, I don't think that would be the right answer because it leaves out a few, what I think are very, very critical elements to what it really takes to lead the global AI competition. And in particular, two things. One is diffusion. Anyone who knows technology knows that over time, the companies that win are the ones that diffuse. More people use it, it gets better and better. China's way ahead of the US on diffusion. A lot of that is because people in the US are afraid of AI. They're afraid they're going to lose their job. There's this debate over electricity prices and data centers. And so that's all causing the average American, and frankly, the average American company to be a little bit slow. And the same is true for AI sentiment. Americans don't like it. When they hear AI, they hear distrust of big tech and I'm going to lose my job. So on diffusion, China's winning. The other, I think, very significant component, and I'll just name it and, we can talk about it as you like, is the United States has an amazing technology strategy for AI, but we don't have a people strategy and we don't have an allies strategy. What do I mean by that? The reason the average American doesn't want to use AI is because they fear they're going to lose their job. And the US government hasn't really done anything to allay those fears. That's not true in China. There's all kind of securities that China is giving to the average person so they're less afraid. I mean, obviously it's a communist-controlled economy, but that's whether or not the China government does it is another matter, but it's causing people to be calm. The second thing is the U.S., candidly, particularly under this administration, just doesn't put enough emphasis on getting the world to run on U.S. AI rails. And China's obsessed with that. I think a lot about Huawei, for example. The rest of the world uses Huawei. We've lost the global 4G, 5G race to China in lower wealth countries. And that's happening right now. So I think that makes America, frankly, Europe, the whole world less safe if all of Africa, half of Europe, all of Latin America run on Chinese AI infrastructure. So anyway, it's a very long-winded way of saying, I don't know. I don't know. It's complicated.
We appreciate the candor there.
I mean, you've talked principally to begin with about the US relationship, but I mean, in a way, we're even more vulnerable in Europe, I think, if you, as it were, pursue your thesis, because there seems to be greater penetration of our industries by China, and particularly amongst EU member states and the UK, less coordination in responding to this sort of economic threat from China. And from what you're saying, also, it seems to me that you would favor a much better US-European coordination in meeting the China threat. I mean, how do you see that situation at the moment? Because I think we're very vulnerable.
I agree. You're very vulnerable. I have had many tense conversations with CEOs of German manufacturing companies where I say a version of China's not your friend. You can't compete with Chinese companies because it's not a fair fight. It's not that German engineering and manufacturing isn't as good. It's just the Chinese government massively subsidized. I think you're extremely vulnerable. Also, my own view is that I don't think anyone can really compete effectively with China alone. They are too big and too determined, and they're actually, pretty good at drawing countries to them. So my strongly held view is that the United States must do a much better job of connecting with Europe, with the UK, with India, with New Zealand, Australia, to have secure supply chains, to have an AI strategy, because I don't think you could compete with China otherwise. And I think that we're not doing a great job. The US, and probably not Europe either. It's not helpful that you have to begin the discussion with many member states explaining to them why China is not their friend.
Picking up on that note, can you explain a little bit more on what's at stake if European nations do not take a more proactive role in remaining competitive with China? I mean, what could that look like for the future?
I think quite a bit could be at stake. China's not our friend. If we become overly dependent on China, as we have done, for example, with chips, with critical minerals, with rare earths, they just have so much leverage over us. So, maybe it will never be that they want to overtake our country, etc. But man, will they have leverage on us. You actually saw a glimpse of this, which means we're not strong. It fundamentally threatens, I think, our way of life, our economy, our place in the world. When President Trump put a year or so ago, put out the triple-digit tariff on China, China immediately played their rare earth critical mineral card, and Trump immediately folded. Now, one could say the Trump administration should have thought that through and known what card it was playing next. Leave that aside. The reality is China has a lot of leverage, and that makes us all less secure.
But isn't this the existential question of our times? I mean, we have intertwined economies with China. You can't not have a commercial relationship with China. We've just got way beyond that point, US, Europe, UK. But on the other hand, China are using this as a weapon. They're great at creating dependencies. I mean, you mentioned Huawei. We had a huge battle in the UK to get China out of our 5G, which I'm pleased to say that some of us feel we won the argument in the end, but it took several years of battering away at the government on this issue. So, I mean, what vision do you have for managing this relationship so that it works in a beneficial way to both nations and we don't allow China this extraordinary hostile leverage which they're exercising almost continuously, not just on our economies, but on our politics and on our social structure?
That's an excellent point. We need to be stronger because we cannot negotiate with them from our current position of, relative weakness on certain issues. I think it is possible for us to have a continuous, managed competition with China. China doesn't want war with America. The war with America is not in their interest. Certainly, we don't want that. The world cannot handle any kind of really kinetic battle between the US and China. They know that, we know that. So it has to be what you say, a managed competition, which is absolutely possible if we're strong, if we're close to our allies, if we have secure supply chains, and if we get quite a bit more deft at our diplomacy and nuance. We don't want a decoupling. We want this managed competition from a position of strength, de-escalate wherever possible, and have an agreement that a hot war with China and the US is just bad for them and us.
Going back to AI and the challenges of AI, I've listened to a number of your interviews recently, and you are more optimistic about the future of AI, that it can create new jobs, industries, products, and services over time. And yet, there are people out there whose jobs are already, they're being replaced by AI. So can you talk to us about the benefits of AI? Why is this a net good for global economies and its potential for the future?
Yeah. First of all, the genie's out of the bottle, or whatever you prefer. Toothpaste is out of the tube. Like, pick your analogy. It can't be put back in. It's out there. It's happening. It's out there. It's in the world. Secondly, my friends or colleagues who are truly expert in bioterrorism, cybersecurity, et cetera, say that the nature of this technology is such that the only way to really protect yourself is to be ahead, to have a more capable technology. So we got to be in it to win it. We are where we are. We have to be in it to win it. Also, I think it's a good thing. I have 2 kids. I want them to grow up in a world with the benefits of AI. Everything we know about the last 200 years of history, when we have a new general purpose technology that comes out over some time, it does lead to new innovations, new inventions, etc. So I don't know for sure, but I think everything we know leads us to believe that we will get there. I worry about the transition. That's my worry. I think in some period of time, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years, there'll be new jobs, new industries. I'm worried deeply that there will be winners and losers. And if we have a concentrated group of people, in the US, who are all put out of work.
Your concerns have been well expressed, and I think you've written about a grand bargain between public and private sectors in order to, as it were, facilitate, let's say, the social adaptation of AI. Can you explain that a bit further? How do you envisage that sort of arrangement? Because at the moment, if you take the situation in the United States, it seems to me pretty anarchic. There's no evidence of any public-private bargain to, as it were, facilitate the arrival of this technology. And yet, if you spend time in the States, which I do, people actually talk about AI more than they talk about Trump, which is pretty extraordinary if you think about it. And Trump's maybe an anxiety for some, but AI seems to be the primary anxiety among so many people at the moment.
This is true. You have nailed it. Maybe you should come to the U.S. and get into politics. Put your flak jacket on. I played rugby when I was at Oxford, and I said that was the best training for U.S. politics.
Rugby.
Yeah, and I'm a small person, so rugby was brutal.
It's quite physical.
It's very physical, quite physical. You get bruised every match. But that's perfect training for the U.S. politics, getting bruised and getting back up. Look, you are correct. We don't have any plan for how we are going to transition to an agentic economy without a period of high unemployment. And that's why Americans are anxious. Americans like AI less than they like President Trump. My thesis is that the United States will not be able to lead in the AI competition until we show the American people a credible plan for a jobs transition such that everyone can have a job in an AI economy. You have to put yourself in the American mindset. We are creating the world's first trillionaires because of AI. So the average American has tremendous anxiety that AI will mint a few trillionaires and the rest of us will be unemployed. And until we put forth an actual plan where we provide incentives for companies to redeploy people instead of just laying them off, where we commit to every American to train them on AI so that they can have an effective job, where we provide some social insurance for Americans to transition from one job to another, I don't like our chances because the American public will continue to reject it. And you cannot win unless you convince people that this is going to be good for them. And the reality is the job loss comes closer in time to the jobs will be created. And so we have to get our act together, which is what I'm spending all my time working on.
On that note, you are the co-founder of an organization that is devoting resources and time to this. And one of the things that you've talked about when you've talked about a transition is that the U.S. is essentially a one and done system, that essentially we we have someone go to high school, then to college, and then you're done with your education, but that's just not going to work in an AI economy. So is that what you're talking about when you talk about a transition period? It's about retraining people to work within this new economy that is growing and adapting. And how do you do that while mitigating the potential job loss of people going back in for skills training?
I think that's a big part of it, what you said. I mean, if you are a 50-year-old person who has spent 25 years of your career working in a call center or any kind of administrative job in a big US company, your job probably will be automated. And you also need to work. You're too young to retire. And presently, the United States has really nothing to help that person. You have unemployment insurance, which is a payment from the state for a period of a handful of months. So yes, we need to get much more creative around things like wage insurance, incentives for companies to retrain people, options to retrain people. So it's just a moment that we need to hugely rethink how we have a purposeful workforce system instead of just shoving everyone to college.
But the other dimension of this AI advance, obviously the social one that you've mentioned is potent. But the other one, which I think is so worrying, is the regulatory issue. And unless China and the US actually get together and can agree a regulatory formula which is internationally applied, I mean, it's rather like nuclear disarmament talks. At the moment, I don't see any evidence at all that either the US or Chinese government are thinking about that. Maybe I'm wrong. It is a sort of worrying void that we're sitting in, where AI is advancing fast and there's no consensus internationally about writing the algorithms in a manner which is finite rather than open-ended.
You're certainly correct. Every single thing you said, it's a little bit like a nuclear détente, and we have to write the rules of the road and we have to get it done quickly. I do think there are some efforts underway, though, in the US to do that with China. I feel quite sure of that. Whether they're big enough, going fast enough, ambitious enough, probably not. But from everything I know, from conversations I've had, even for work when I was in the administration, China wants that. They know. It's, as you say, just like nuclear weapons with Russia. Both sides have to look strong, but there's no way around the fact that for things like safety, cybersecurity, bioterrorism, the U.S. and China, first, number one, we need regulations ASAP. Number two, the U.S. and China should get together. When I was in the administration, we started that work, and I think this administration is continuing it. It's not in China's interest to have terrorists or non-state actors have sophisticated AI capacity to conduct a bioterrorist attack. China doesn't want that either. So I think it's happening too slowly, and I agree it has to happen.
Well,